Hello everyone. So today we're going to do a little overview of all the courses I have because I get this question a lot about which course is what and how are they different from one another. So before we jump in here, I just wanted to start off and tell everyone thank you so much. I really appreciate all your support, especially the people who have bought my courses. I mean, I really appreciate that, and I also appreciate all the support and comments and everything on the YouTube page. So thank you for that. So the first one, and this is the starting point, is going to be the Quit Your Job course. So let's head to its page and take a look. And who I'd suggest this course for is anybody who's just getting started. Like, you absolutely have no idea even how to do camera settings. So as you can see here, we go into how to set your camera. We go into things like how to use the mode dial and understanding very basic concepts about aperture, ISO, shutter speed. The point being, this course is a really good place to get you started specifically for real estate photography. So as it says here, we go over camera settings you're going to need to be using in real estate photography. You know, if you take another course out there, you know, maybe something on, say, Creative Live or something, those are really good courses, but they're going to be talking about, you know, 10 million different settings for your camera, for landscape, for this. We're just talking specifically about real estate here, so I get to get in there and get really zoned in on each of the subjects. After the camera section, we get in there and we shoot an entire house, and this is just how I work. So you're gonna get to see how I work, and I sort of, you know, I do it in a way that I feel like people can get into it and understand, and really sort of, this is more of a modern day workflow where you're not using as much lighting equipment. In fact, you're only using one light and you're holding it in your hand. So it's a really quick and easy way to get through houses, and it's also, I feel, gonna help propel your photography forward in the future. So in other words, this is a really good way to start your photography business off with these lighting techniques that I'm going through, because really compositing is really important as you start advancing your work forward, and you're just able to produce cleaner and more controlled work with this style of workflow. So we make it through the entire house, and we even get some twilight exteriors in there, and we talk about other things that I really feel like you need to understand. And in general, I just feel like this course is gearing people up so they don't have a real estate photography business. They need to know what to do. I try to cover every single base that you'll need to know. So, you know, dealing with little reflections is stuff that's going to come up all the time. This section right here, how to let spaces light themselves. This is really a way to work where you're just letting the light in the room do most of the work for you, so you don't have to spend as much time on site. So this is just a few examples of some of the stuff we go over to make your life easier when you get into the field of real estate photography. And next we talk about how to develop and design your website, and also the ever-present SEO strategies that are becoming so important nowadays. And I go well into that. I personally have some really good SEO on my website if you do some searches for like Orange County real estate photography. So I go through all that stuff and how I got that built up. So we talk about portfolio development next. So you're really between a rock and a hard place when you get started. How do I get these great images, yet nobody let me photograph their homes except maybe your mom or your uncle or something, right? Well, we talk about ways to do that. And lastly, we go into how to try and get in there and just get your first clients and, you know, get that business really started. And so at the very end, just go through a few more things, very important concepts though, like how to composite much faster as your business starts to take off and you're getting more and more clients. Very important concepts in here that I think you'll find really useful when you start getting on your way. And lastly, and I know there's a lot to cover in this course, so believe me, there's quite a bit of information in here. So again, if you're just getting started out, this probably is the place. So we go over, there's a whole glossary in there of just terms I think you need to know as a photographer. So you'll have this glossary of terms as sort of a reference throughout your starting when you're getting in there, and people are going to say words to you, you might not understand them. So that's why I included that glossary. I got a little Photoshop is acting crazy checklist that'll help you. Maybe you could pin it next to your computer and it'll help you out if Photoshop just is acting absolutely insane. And hopefully that one will help you just get it back to where it's operating normally. And I got some skies in there for you to just start off your library. Just stuff, again, I'm not going to go through every single point, but just stuff that's going to get you started and, really going to make that transition for you from being not even a photographer to being a real estate photographer a lot easier. So next up, we have the One Light Real Estate Photography course. And this course, I would say, is definitely the most broad. So we definitely don't go into any sort of like camera settings at the start. And it assumes that you know quite a bit more than Quit Your Job course at the very start. But having said that, we cover a lot of different types of rooms in this course. And we also end up getting into really higher end imagery at the end, where we take over an hour and a half, I believe, to edit a single image here. So we just get in there and we take care of all the little problems. And again, don't forget, this is lit with one light. So an image like this, where you're getting a lot of lighting in here and you're learning how to do things with one light. If you really want to, of course, you could use two lights in your work. I think you'll be able to just work how you want and use the same concepts I'm kind of teaching in these courses if you want to use multiple lights. But the way I do it and the way I teach it is you're just using the one light to just sort of mold your photos and control every single area, the color and the contrast, and whatever you need to change, you can with your lighting, and you don't have all that bulky lighting equipment on site. So again, we go through quite a range in this course of small rooms, big rooms, medium rooms, colored rooms, and even that high-end room at the end where I'm just getting in there and just paying a lot more attention to detail. So I would call this course more of a way to refine your techniques that you've learned in the Quit Your Job course. And this is definitely the most popular course I have. And as you can see here, I failed to mention this for the Quit Your Job course, but I have support groups for every one of my courses. So this one happens to be on Flickr, and then there's also a Facebook group, and the Quit Your Job course has a Facebook group, and the Advanced Window Lighting class we'll be discussing next also has a Facebook group. Perhaps an important note here is you'll notice I labeled this One Light Real Estate Photography Tutorials, and maybe that's a bit of a misnomer because in the Advanced Window Lighting, first of all, it's not really designed for real estate photographers. It is designed for real estate photographers kind of wanting to move up and sort of pump up their portfolio and imagery to the next level and kind of go after higher end clients. But most of the techniques we discuss in this course aren't going to be techniques you're using in everyday real estate photography. It's a little bit of a mixed bag because at the start I do go over a couple techniques that I think are going to be really useful in your real estate photography. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to note here is I label it under One Light tutorials, and I do actually use multiple lights in this one. So I go in there and I use two lights in some of the setups. So let's scroll down the page here and just take a look at the main points about this course. So I think the main thing about this course is, again, it's really just taking you to that next level from the One Light Real Estate Photography, where you're really I'm trying to give you inspiration and lighting ideas that'll sort of further and push your career forward. So we do, once again, have a Facebook support group, and you can see all the topics we discuss here. I honestly have even felt like this topic alone right here, what I call the ultimate ceiling bounce, is just really something that will help propel not only some of your real estate photography forward, but all of your photography, and doing it in a much more efficient way. And the reason for that is when you use this ultimate ceiling bounce technique, you're getting a starting point from your images that are really absolutely superior to any other type of ceiling bounce that I can think of. So you're just starting off at a point where you have to do so much less work, like your lighting is already almost perfect. And in many cases, it can be perfect already, just right from that one flash frame. So that's how we introduce the course with that ultimate ceiling bounce. And I feel like through the course, we just discuss more and more complex lighting setups where you'll really be doing for higher-end clients. And I feel like one of the highlights of this course, as you can see, as I say here, a lot of, as we get up in photography, all we think about is, oh, I'm going to have so much more gear. I'm going to have to bring all this stuff on site with me now. I'm getting better. Well, no, actually, I feel like in this course, I'm talking about ways to light spaces, and you're having to bring gear that's actually really not very bulky at all, and it's very easy to bring on site, and just it's cheap too, and that's the other thing. So the gear I'm recommending is cheap and it's not bulky at all. You could fit some of the modifiers, as I say in the class, right into your back pocket. And I don't recommend these modifiers because they're, easier to bring on site. I recommend these modifiers because they're the best modifiers. So, you don't always have to have a trade-off in photography where you're not bringing as much on site, but your images might be a little worse, right? So it doesn't have to be like that. In this course, I feel like the main crux of it is it's possible to bring very compact lighting modifiers and gear with you, and yet produce images that you're going to knock out of the park. And so as you can see here, we continue on, and I talk a lot about how to add sun in this course, and I think that's such an important part of really sort of propelling your work forward and just embellishing a lot of these spaces. And you can see an example of that here, where we just took this pretty ordinary space and we just added a little touches of sun all over the place. And so you will be surprised, I feel, if you see this image in the course, how easy this stuff is to do. And once again, one of my main things about this course is I just want you to be inspired by seeing all this different ways to light things, and how much of the natural kind of structures on site that are things that are actually already on site, how many of those things we can actually use. So I just want to kind of sort of get in the back of your brain how we can use stuff on site to our advantage, how we can travel in our photography and bring less gear, how we can really sort of maximize our photography in terms of how much gear we're bringing and the quality we're producing. And lastly, and this is sort of a teaser, and the one thing I'll really note here is this is sort of where I'm going with my courses now. I mean, I think Advanced Window Light was a really good length. I liked it, and it's a little bit shorter, and the course is a little bit cheaper, and I know a lot of you guys out there are like that. And this one, Advanced Twilight Interiors, is going to turn out to be quite a bit shorter and cheaper as well. So I think that's where I'm going with my courses in the future. So, I'm hoping to have a good 10 courses in the future. So check back. But the point is, we're really specifically going into this topic. And I'm finding more and more as I produce this that we actually don't need to talk about a ton of different spaces, because the concepts are really similar no matter what different style rooms you're getting in. It's all kind of the same way you're going to like this. So I felt like this was one of the easier courses to sort of explain and go through, and you're really going to have a lot of power in your photography, just and we're only going to go over a couple images, maybe 3 at the most.